Hey guys, welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the daily show. We give you all the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Leading off the show today is Jon Campea.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Thanks for joining us on this special Thanksgiving week. We got a whole bunch of stuff to cover today.
Also here, Jon Schnepp.
Yo. Who loves you, baby?
Show him your tongue. Look at that thing. Wow.
Also here is Jeremy Jahns.
There's no way I can beat that intro. I'm just going to say, how you all doing? And that's Jon Schnepp.
Also here's Mark Ellis.
Jon Schnepp's tongue with a Nightcrawler / Beast vibe.
He's got them both going on. All right, guys, listen, as happens sometimes, something dropped just before we started doing the show. And you know, one of the movies a lot of people have been talking about is this new Martin Scorsese film called Silence that everybody's talking about is going to have big Oscar implications. People are talking about Andrew Garfield for Best Actor. People are talking about Liam Neeson for Best Supporting Actor, Scorsese Best Director, the movie for Best Picture. But the movie comes out, at least in limited release, in a matter of weeks, and we have got no trailer, no poster, no nothing. Well, that changed today as the first official poster for Silence dropped today. Here's our first look at it. I think it's a very good-looking poster, but more importantly than the poster itself, that with the poster came the announcement that the first official trailer will officially be coming out tomorrow, attached to Allied in theaters, and then everywhere on Saturday. Now, I don't know if that means they're saying it's going to be attached to other films come Saturday, or that's when it's going to release online. In today's day and age, it's impossible to keep a trailer that's playing in theaters off of YouTube, so it's probably going to be on YouTube at some time tomorrow. The studio would be wise to get ahead of it and not let a cammed, pirated version of the trailer get online. They'd be wise just to put it out themselves. But tomorrow, in Allied or otherwise, we're going to get our first look at this Silence trailer. Schnepp, number one, it is just about damn time that this thing comes out. But what are your expectations for this?
Very high. I really am very excited. I mean, the poster reminds me a little bit of The Mission, that Robert De Niro film. It has that kind of vibe, which even the photos have had that kind of vibe because it's a similar type story, missionary type work. But I can't wait. I mean, we've all heard about Andrew Garfield's performance in this, Liam Neeson's performance. It's like, it was like a 3-hour cut. It's like remaining a little bit less than that, right? That's the last I heard.
That's the last I heard,
They
too.
didn't like try to force him to cut it down. So, I mean, everything I've heard about this film, I hope it's as that and more. So.
All right, Jeremy, what are your expectations?
Yeah, expectations are high, man. It's a Martin Scorsese film. It's like every time this movie comes out with a film, it's an event, you know? It's just like it's every few years, you're like, yeah, another Scorsese film. Andrew Garfield was great in Hacksaw Ridge.
Yeah, he was.
You know what? And I still think he was great in The Amazing Spider-Man. Any problems with that franchise, he was never the problem. This poster's great. It looks ominous, you know? And to further your point, yeah, it's going to be attached to Allied tomorrow and expected everywhere online later on today.
Probably. What about you, Mark?
I am over the moon with anticipation for Silence. It could be an Academy Award contender. When you look at that poster, I think it's a great first look at Silence, despite the fact that it does kind of look like Liam Neeson standing there. Then he has two little hobbits running away from his crotch. That looks a little odd. It's like they're two of the things under the Ghost of Christmas Present's robe, and they're trying to escape from him. Other than that, the poster looks amazing, and I think the trailer is going to be great tomorrow.
Mark, his crotch is on fire.
That's the subtitle of the film. But listen, one of the things flying under the radar, I don't know why I said that. One of the things flying under the radar a little bit here, I think, is like, okay, everybody's talking about Andrew Garfield, Best Actor, Liam Neeson, Best Supporting Actor. Adam Driver is attached to this film, and he has been on fire lately. I mean, he has really been on fire lately. He is pretty much knocking it out of the park with all these small projects he's attached to. Obviously, he's Kylo Ren at the same time. So, I mean, I think it's going to be very interesting. When you've got this type of a lineup and it's a Scorsese picture, I am going to be fascinated, though, after the award season is done, to see a little mini documentary on what held this movie up. Because, look, I'm always saying, relax, you don't need a trailer yet. You don't need a trailer yet. We are literally weeks away from when this thing is supposed to at least bow in at least limited release. Right. So I'm going to be curious to find out what kind of drama, because you know this wasn't the plan.
No.
The plan, a year ago, the plan was not, let's release the first poster and trailer 3 weeks before its limited release. You know that wasn't the plan. So I'm going to be very curious to find out what went on behind the scenes. Was it that Scorsese, much like Wolf of Wall Street, came in with a 4.5-hour cut, and it just took them forever to get it down to something more manageable. 3 hours, just south of 3 hours, maybe. I don't know. But it will be interesting to see how this all turns out. All right, let's get on with the first official story of the day.
All right. Marvel announced yesterday that Angela Bassett has landed a key role in Ryan Coogler's Black Panther. Bassett will play T'Challa's mother, Romonda, and joins the all-star cast made up of Chadwick Boseman, Michael B. Jordan, Lupita Nyong'o, Winston Duke, and Forrest Whitaker. The rumored storyline is set to focus on Black Panther's leadership, which is threatened when two foes come together, forcing Black Panther to get help from the CIA and the Dora Milaje. The movie is expected to begin production early next year, with the release date set for February 16, 2018. John, thoughts on Angela Bassett joining Black Panther?
This is becoming an embarrassment of riches when it comes to this cast. I mean, what else are they going to do now? We need his mother, Angela Bassett. Yeah, okay. I mean, it just seems to be getting silly at some point. They're adding so much talent to this. I think it's a great addition. How big or small of a role she's actually going to play in the film, I don't know. But it could be bigger than some people think. If the majority of the story does take place in Wakanda, and we know it's not all going to take place in Wakanda, but if the majority of the story does, there's a pretty decent chance that we're going to get not leading actress or necessarily even, lead supporting actress, but we could be getting some fairly significant screen time for Angela in this. And when you're going to do that, if you're going to get a character that carries that much screen time, you got to bring somebody who's got a lot of talent. She fits that bill for me. This is a no-brainer. This is great. What do you think, Mark?
Oh, yeah. If we were buying or selling, I would be buying this thing big time because you're adding talent to an already talented cast. And her playing T'Challa's mother is very interesting because of not only how emotionally powerful Angela Bassett can see, as we've seen in roles in the past, she also can kick some ass, too. Whether she's going to have to do that in this movie or not remains to be seen. But we know that T'Challa had a very strong father influence. It's going to be really cool to see in this movie what the mother side of things brought to his table.
Schnepp.
Yeah, I mean, this reminds me of like the casting for Doctor Strange. They're just like keep adding talent, more talent, more talent. So, I wonder if they're going to have any flashbacks with the father because we know what happened in Civil War.
Yeah.
But we're, obviously there's going to be ramifications with the mother. So I'm very interested to see what they do.
Jeremy.
The Disney Marvel empire grows, my friends. It is interesting. It being a story of a king warrior, that the mother influence is there and it's going to be huge. He's going to have a couple of great moments of monologue. There's going to be that moment possibly where he's like, I don't know if I can do this. And she's like, yeah, you can. And, and wipes the tears away. I've always been a fan of Angela Bassett. Back in the day, I wanted to see her as Storm. I thought she would have been a perfect Storm in an X-Men movie, So I'm glad to see that somehow she's now on the Marvel train.
Yeah.
Well, here's an interesting thing. I had heard, and I don't know how much validity there was to this, but I had heard that one of the people really in the running for this was Jada Pinkett Smith. So let me play, which is really fascinating, especially if you look back at her work in Matrix and things. She's a hell of an actress. Give her a pass on the Fish Mooney stuff in Gotham. I mean, that's just not her fault. But she's a hell of an actress. So let's play a little game of Would You Rather. Mark, there's a role out there for the mother of T'Challa. Mm-hmm. Would you rather Angela Bassett or Jada Pinkett Smith, all things being equal?
Look, I love Jada Pinkett Smith, particularly in the Nutty Professor movies. I'm taking Angela Bassett all day, every day. Angela Bassett is one of my favorite actresses, period. I had the pleasure of interviewing her on this very desk for London is Fallen.
Right, yes.
She is phenomenal, and she can take a small role and make it into something big, so she doesn't need a lot of screen time. I'm taking Angela Bassett in a landslide.
What about you, Jeremy? Which one do you take?
Double down on Angela Bassett for sure. I had Angela Bassett in my head because I was thinking of Fish Mooney, and you said give her a pass on Fish Mooney. I was like, all right, in that case, still Angela Bassett. Angela Bassett is a great actress who brings 158% to every role she's in, big or small. Even if she has that much screen time, she's going to affect the film. Angela Bassett.
Schnepp?
Triple down, Angela Strange Days Bassett. What's up?
Whoa, Blue Tongue.
Oh,
that's a great call.
You know what? I'm going to
go
against the grain here. I think if you're going to ask me the question, who is the better overall actress, I'm going to go with Angela Bassett, and there's no shame in that in coming in second place to Angela Bassett on that. But as far as fit goes, I actually think Jada Pinkett Smith might be a little bit of a better fit. I'm not sure. I would lean towards Jada Pinkett Smith, but overall, there's no denying this is a great casting.
But
something
John, this is the first time we've really seen a mother character in the MCU. We've seen Renee Russo be Thor's mom, and that's really the closest we've gotten to seeing what a motherly influence does to one of these superheroes that we know. I mean, obviously, with Peter Parker now back in the MCU, we get to see an Aunt May influence, but we got barely got to meet Tony Stark's mom. We've never seen Cap's mom, to my knowledge, or Black Widow's mom, or Hawkeye's mom, Hulk's mom. This is going to be cool to see how they play it.
All right, what's next?
Legendary has announced that they have acquired the rights to Frank Herbert's science fiction classic Dune. The studio will now enter into active development on possible film and TV projects geared towards a global audience. The Dune will be produced by Legendary's Thomas Tull, Mary Parent, and Cale Boyer, with the Herbert estate also helping produce. No other specifics have been revealed at this time. Schnepp, thoughts on Legendary developing a new franchise in Dune?
Put your hand in the box. What's in the box? Pain. The pain. Oh man, I'm very excited. I'm a giant David Lynch Dune fan. And I even like the sci-fi series and
So
Children
did I.
of Dune. I thought, that was a really well done adaptation, even though it's kind of a weird mixture of both of the film and the book.
Yeah.
So I cannot wait to see. I don't care what they do with the series as long as they're making it. Make a film trilogy, do what Dark Tower was trying to do, make a movie, then a TV series, then a movie. I don't care what you do with it, but do it, man, because this is a really cool series.
This is like a modern-day sci-fi version of Macbeth. I mean, there's so much. When you're talking about the mythology of Arrakis, the Fremen,
Game
and
of Thrones,
Yeah,
House Arcade,
absolutely.
Atreides.
Exactly. When you get it, there's so much in that universe of Dune that it is intrinsically a story you can tell every 15 to 20 years. You could tell it and gain interest. Just like, say, a Pride and Prejudice. You can tell that over and over again with a different director and a different take and a different vision. I think this is great. And now we're in an age where modern effects and modern filmmaking techniques can bring a new dimension to it that we've never seen in the Dune storyline before. I'm fascinated by this. I think this is great. What about you, Mark?
I mean, Anakin Skywalker's not going to like this news because there's a lot of sand in Dune, dog. It's like Game of Thrones on beaches constantly, so there's not that much water. Replace that with spices. Dune is one of those things that I'm excited that they're reviving it. I would prefer to see it on a streaming service or something like HBO if they wanted to do it versus in a film, because it just seems like with films now they're always trying to build up these franchises. We want this to be a trilogy, we want this to be 5 movies, but if the first movie isn't successful, you never get to see that vision fully realized. I think that if you do it on a streaming service to start out, you're gonna get to the rich mythology of Dune. It's got more of a chance to breathe, in my opinion.
So kind of like Westworld, where you can put out 6 failures before you get to something worth watching. I've been trying to get into Westworld. That
You didn't get to that 7th episode yet?
I got to the 7th. It was a
Come
good
on, man,
7th
yeah.
episode, but it was 6 failure episodes. Anyway, what do you think about this whole Dune thing?
I think the spice must flow. There was one guy I thought about when I heard this news, and that was Jon Schnepp over here. But I totally agree, and you all brought up the great points where if you like Game of Thrones, you should see this as possible, fun, and even necessary. I mean, it's political, it's dueling houses, it's warring houses, it's power struggles, it's everything you like about Game of Thrones. But I didn't think about it until just now. It might be better on a service where you can have 10 episodes, really draw out that drama, because if you condense it into about 2 or 3 hours, I don't know. I'm like you, John, where I like the Dune movie. I don't apologize for liking the Dune movie. Is it perfect? No. Does it have problems? Yes, but it's part of my childhood, and I do love it, and I love the music. So, but I do want to see. It's the epitome of what a remake these days should be. Whereas, okay, they had problems back in the day. We couldn't quite get it perfect. Now we have the technology to do it, and so we might be able to see. This is a reason that remakes should not always be shunned and should be welcome.
Right on.
All right. Well, listen, guys, it is Tuesday, and normally we take what is opening this week and spread it over Tuesday and Thursday, but we have no show this coming Thursday since it is the Thanksgiving weekend here in the United States. So it is time for a big edition of What is Opening This Week, brought to you by our friends at AMC Theaters. 4 major films opening up. What do we got, Ashley?
First up is Moana. An adventurous teenager sails out on a daring mission to save her people. During her journey, Moana meets the once mighty demigod Maui, who guides her in the quest to become a master wayfinder. Also coming out is Allied. During World War II, intelligence officer Max Viton, Brad Pitt, is stationed in North Africa, where he encounters a French resistance fighter, Marion Cotillard, on a deadly mission behind enemy lines. Also coming out is Bad Santa 2. Fueled by cheap whiskey, greed, and hatred, Willie Soak, Billy Bob Thornton, teams up with his angry little sidekick Marcus to knock off a Chicago charity on Christmas Eve. And finally, rules don't apply. A small-town beauty queen, Lily Collins, is under contract to the infamous Howard Hughes Warren Beatty. After she arrives in Los Angeles, she meets her driver, Frank Forbes, Alden Ehrenreich, where their instant attraction not only puts their religious convictions to the test, but also defies Hughes' #1 rule: no employee is allowed to have an intimate relationship with a contract actress.
Schnepp, which one of these films, or multiple of these, which ones of these films are standing up to you?
For me, Bad Santa 2, I mean, it's gotten some, really bad reviews, some really good reviews. That's the one I can't wait to see. I hope it doesn't make me like Bad Santa, the original one, less. That's the only thing I want. I don't want it to tarnish the original. Hopefully it's just as good, maybe a little bit less, but that's the one to me that sticks out. And the Howard Hughes one, I'm really interested to see what Warren Beatty's doing with that film. I wonder how many kids these days even know who Howard Hughes is. Like, sometimes you're like, okay, we all know who Howard Hughes is, but like as we keep going decade after decade, the past becomes more of the past. So I'm really interested to see that film and see how it portrays Howard Hughes.
Jeremy?
I learned who Howard Hughes was because of Martin Scorsese.
That's right.
There is that. Of these ones, man, it's Moana. Because 2016, I think we can all agree that 2016 has been a year that has been lacking in the movie world. It just has. There have been a lot of films out there who have disappointed people, who have divided the masses. Moana is one of those films anyone can go with. You'll either like Moana or love Moana, but you will not hate Moana. Moana is the one.
Yeah, absolutely. The best movie opening up this week is Moana. I was, every once in a while, Disney Animation will throw out a little throwaway one, like something just to keep the studio busy for a while. I'm going to admit it. I thought Moana was going to be one of those films. I really did. I was kind of expecting it to have maybe a few giggles, whatever. I adored this movie. And you know what? I came out saying, it's not as good as Kubo and the Two Strings. I watched Kubo and the Two Strings again. Moana's the best animated film of the year.
Whoa!
I'm going to say Moana's the best animated film of the year.
Wow.
It had heart. It had different layers to it. It had mythology. The music was surprisingly great. I mean, I knew Lin-Manuel Miranda was doing the music, but I didn't think it would be as catchy as it was. It had thrills. I loved this movie. It is the best one. The one I was really disappointed by was Rules Don't Apply. Not because I'm a huge Howard Hughes fan, but because I'm a huge Warren Beatty fan. As a director, this dude is great. I think Bullsworth is an underappreciated film. But this one, it's not a bad film. It's not a bad film. But I've been waiting so long. I think a lot of people have been waiting so long for a new Beatty-directed film. I was going in with really high expectations, and I think I was let down by them a little bit. But for me, the movie to watch this week is Moana.
Well, John, we are in full swing of college football, and college basketball is here too. So I get to rank these movies in my AP order. At number 4 is going to be Bad Santa 2. It's coincidentally the only movie I've seen on this list. There's some laughs in there for sure. If you like Bad Santa, I don't think it's going to ruin anything for you. Cool. You can enjoy another adventure with this. At number 3 is going to be Rules Don't Apply for no other reason because I want to see Han Solo in action before he actually plays Han Solo. At number 2 is going to be Moana. I think it's going to be the best movie out of these 4, but I just don't care about that subject matter quite as much as I do Allied with 2 huge movie stars, Brad Pitt, Marion Cotillard. Very excited to see that one. It's a good weekend at the theaters. Get away from your family. They're annoying you anyway.
All right, guys, we've reached that part of the show now for buy or sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Ashley's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down. Then those of us at the table are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Ashley, what do we got?
Disney and Pixar have unveiled their first teaser trailer for Cars 3. The first look doesn't offer much by way of plot or dialogue. However, it does show a dramatic twist in the Lightning McQueen story that is at the center of the story. The film marks the directorial debut of Brian Fee, an animator and storyboard artist, on films like WALL-E and Monsters University. Cars 3 opens in theaters on June 16, 2017. Jeremy Byer saw the first teaser for Cars 3.
It's a simple teaser. It really is. It is a showcase for the animation. I'm going to buy it on that alone because there's nothing else other than Cars racing. But the thing I noticed was that Cars 1 and Cars 2 had a very cartoony animation. This looks a lot grittier, a lot more real. This looks like the kind of animation that might be, it's just a hair below being able to mix with live action and have you totally be fooled by it. It looks like a PS4, really. It looks like PS4 polygons. I'm going to buy it because I'm interested to see what they do with the new animation.
I'm going to sell it. Was the animation great? Yeah, it looked like a Forza game.
Right.
I mean, it really did, and that's a good thing. But it's like, look, the Cars franchise, I think it's an understatement to say it's not the most beloved of the Pixar properties,
Right.
right? But it did strike a nerve with kids. Kids love cars. They love it. I've got a little nephew, goes crazy for cars, anything about cars. They got Cars Land over at, it's not a very good attraction, but the main ride at Cars Land is the
Where you
one.
race?
Where
Oh,
you're,
it's
you're
awesome.
racing through the mountains. That's kind of cool. But I don't get it. Where are they going? Who do they think their audience for Cars is? Who's looking forward to Cars? Cars has been the most childlike, and I mean that in neither good or bad terms. It's the most childlike of their properties. Everything about Pixar, one of the things that makes them so brilliant, is they do not make kid films. I say this all the time. They make kid-friendly films that also very much with their themes and topics address adults at the same time. That's why adults love the Pixar films so much. Cars has been different. It's been very much geared and pointed at children and at kids, and it's been very successful. I watch this trailer and I think, do they understand their own property? Do they understand their own audience? At this point, we may find out more down the line that makes this trailer seem brilliant. But right now, to me, it seems like it's a little bit of an identity crisis, so I'm going to sell it. What about you?
I will sell it for the same reasons. While I do think it looked awesome, that animation was nothing short of stunning. But it did seem like this teaser was not for kids who are going to be the market demographic for the movie. This seemed like an apology to adults for Cars 2. Because it says from now on everything changes. And it's almost like they're saying, hey, sorry about that last movie we put out, which I actually like Cars 2. I'm the one person you will ever meet that enjoyed the hell out of Cars 2. But Cars 3, it's almost like the kids that were little when they saw the first two Cars movies are now grown up and they're punk-ass teenagers, and this is like the movie for them. Like, car's gonna crash anyway. I hate you, Dad.
What do you think, Jeremy?
Me?
Yeah,
Oh,
like, as far as what he's saying, like, do you think that they're trying to adjust, like, who they're targeting? They're saying, oh, the kids that they love, we don't want to continue to point at kids. We want to point at those kids who were kids when it came out and now we're older now. Like, is that
Okay.
what they're doing?
Can I thank you for throwing it to me? Because that was, while you were talking, I was like, remember that, remember that, remember that. And you threw it to Mark, and now you're throwing it back to me. Exactly that. I would devil's advocate you on that, where the 10-year-olds who loved the first Cars movie, they should apologize for Cars 2. And if this is their way of doing it, here we go. But the 10-year-olds who liked Cars 1 are now 20-year-olds, so that might be their way of escalating, going, all right, well, the fans of Cars 1 are now older, so we have to do it. But just because the animation is darker doesn't mean that the content in the film, it could still have that kid-friendly vibe, just make it look more in real world.
Oh, I think it will. I think it is going to have that kid-friendly. I think it's going to feel exactly like Cars 1 and 2, which is why this trailer is a little disappointing, is that it feels like they're selling us a bill of goods. It's not going to be realized once the movie comes out.
Okay.
Schnepp, is this a brilliant new direction for Cars, or is this an identity crisis, or is it somewhere in the middle?
I think it's somewhere in the middle. I mean, honestly, I was like, where are the big, dumb, stupid, wet eyes of the Cars? And I'm the person who hates the Cars movies. Haven't seen Cars 1, refused to see Cars 3, refused to see Cars 2.
I'm a
in
cute
that
little
order.
car. You big, dumb, stupid, wet eyes.
That's right. When it smashed up, I was like, oh, good. When I saw it rolling, I was like, it's the death of
Yeah,
Cars.
he's dead.
Finally, they're murdering all of
Yeah,
them.
but you know what?
It's like,
If that car gets in a huge car wreck, you know who comes and saves it? The tow truck. Larry the Cable Guy.
Okay, wait, I kid you not, true story around the office yesterday. We're sitting around the office, somebody says, hey, a new Cars teaser is dropping. The first thing out of Ellis's mouth is, how many lines does Larry the Cable Guy have? That was the very first
He
thing that came
was
out of his
great
mind.
in Cars 2. He was the star of that movie, and I thought he pulled it off
see,
very
I didn't
well.
even know Larry the Cable Guy was in it because I refused to see Cars or Cars 2, and I'm not going to see Cars 3.
You
I'm
were
just
there
not into
opening
it.
day of Larry the Cable Guy Health Inspector.
I know. I saw it 7 times because Ellis forced me to.
All right, what's next?
Michael Bay took to Facebook Live yesterday to respond to some fan questions about when we might be able to expect the first trailer for his upcoming 5th film in the Transformers franchise, The Last Night. He then confirmed that the teaser for the 2017 release will be playing in front of Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. Transformers The Last Night sees the return of Age of Extinction's Mark Wahlberg and will hit theaters on June 23, 2017. Mark Barsell that we'll see a first trailer for Transformers The Last Night with Rogue One.
Oh, I buy the hell out of this, Ashley. Much more than I buy anything in the actual movie Transformers The Last Night. Because I'm not sold on going back in time to fight Nazis or team up with King Arthur to battle some sort of evil magic. But I love the idea of a Transformers trailer. Why? Because they're all great. They are great 2-minute pieces of entertainment. The actual movies, not so much. But if you are the amazing, or the Spider-Man Homecoming, if you're any of these other big budget movies that are coming out next summer, even if you're episode 8 and you decide to drop a teaser trailer before Rogue One, you all better be nervous, because the best trailer out of this bunch just might be Transformers: The Last Night.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be a buy. Look, we're just talking about the trailers. There is no other property that has consistently put out better trailers than the Transformers property. Think what we will about the movies themselves. The trailers are always awesome. How awesome are they? That despite the fact that we get failure after failure after failure of the films, and I still like the original Transformers, I still like the first movie, but then 3 horrible ones, the trailers still get me to drink the Kool-Aid and believe that the next one is going to be the one that survives or that is going to redeem the entire franchise. That's how good these trailers are. I have no doubt this will do the same. Attaching it to something like Star Wars is the perfect demographic to go after. It's got to be a buy. Jeremy.
I feel like I should buy it just out of obligation to Michael Bay and the Transformers films for launching my YouTube world after he made Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. Without that, I would not have put up my camera and talked movies, would not be here. I don't want it to be attached. What attached is it's the trailer that's obligated contractually to play right before the movie plays. I want that trailer to be about halfway through. Then I want a trailer for like Spider-Man Homecoming or something after that, so we can have that palate cleanser we talked about, so I don't have to think about Transformers while I'm going into Rogue One. So that's what I want. But for what it is, let me flip a coin again. And yeah, sure, I'll buy it. Why not? As long as we have something else to cleanse the palate on the film.
That's so specific. You've thought, as long as it's separate.
So
yeah,
I need at least 35 to 1 minute, seconds.
You know why?
Why?
This is why. Because the Two Towers final trailer was attached to Red Dragon, and I saw the Two Towers trailer, and I enjoyed Red Dragon, but I couldn't get that trailer out of my head because it was just in it, and it's a great trailer. And so I feel like Rogue One's going to be better than the Transformers trailer, and the Two Towers trailer was better than Red Dragon. But it's just from experience. If you have a trailer, it can compromise the movie going into.
Schnepp, when we see this movie with Jeremy, we'll bring some Cars table water crackers.
Yeah. We should each both throw some saltines in our mouth and then talk at the same time. Like, hey, what do you think of the trailer? Just crackers
what
everywhere.
It's like with these guys. That's what it's like.
I cannot wait to buy this trailer because you're right. These Transformers trailers are always great. All of us went to see whatever the fourth one, Extinction, was called, and yeah. There's going to be these dinosaurs, and it even began really cool with the weird dinosaurs running away. You're like, it's really going to be awesome, and it sucked.
Okay, so totally true story. The last Transformers movie that came out, Age of Extinction, that was the name of it. We were so the trailers were so good. We were all balls convinced this movie is going to be great. This is the one that's going to... Michael Bay's been listening to the fans. This is going to be the one. We got like 9 of us to go, remember? And we had planned, we had set up the studio. We were going to go watch it. We were so convinced it was going to be great. And then we were all going to go into the studio and do our post-viewing review right there on the spot. And we all came out of the theater and we all stood around in the foyer just... And we had fans coming up to us, hey guys, and we're like, hey.
Michelle shocked.
What did I just watch? I mean, it was a night to remember.
I was physically ill after. I had a physical reaction. I mean, Sinead's Black Plague last week didn't get me, but the Age of Extinction certainly did. The last great trailer I remember for Transformers was actually Dark of the Moon. That was a great one too. Yeah, I was shoving popcorn in my face, seeing something else. I was like, that movie's gonna be awesome. Yeah, and it just was such a letdown. But it's gonna do it again.
Just think about it, how awesome this trailer is gonna be. You got Merlin, you got Nazis. Yeah. Look at this poster. It's like right out of my heavy metal dream. It's like the way they market this is so amazing and perfect. Like, I love that poster. I want that poster. Why I don't buy it is because I know I'm going to get sucked into it and then I'm going to hate it.
It's Optimus Prime with the sword.
It's so awesome.
I
know.
Else.
It's too awesome.
It's just Optimus Prime with the sword.
And Winston Churchill is going to be King Arthur. Mark our words.
All right, what's next?
According to a report from Slash Film, cinematographer Larry Fong has been hired as a cinematographer for Shane Black's The Predator. Fong is best known for being the director of photography for Zack Snyder's films, including 300, Watchmen, Sucker Punch, and Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. The Predator is now in pre-production and is scheduled to begin shooting in February of 2017 in order to hit a February 9th, 2018 release date. John Byer saw Larry Fong as the DP for Shane Black's The Predator.
Have to buy this because look, even though a friend of ours is one of the stars of Sucker Punch, when you want to talk about a movie, You can put Sucker Punch, well, you kind of have to put Sucker Punch on mute if you want to get through it. But you put Sucker Punch on mute, that movie is a work of art visually. I mean, it's just breathtaking and beautiful. And much the same can be said of a lot of Zack Snyder's films. Visually, they're just almost flawless. Visually, they're wonderfully done. The way they use camera and angles and movement and their scenery and all that kind of stuff to establish the scenes is great and fantastic. I don't know if Predators is going to be a great movie, but I am 100% sure it's going to be a great looking movie. On that basis alone, I buy it. Jeremy, what about you?
Yeah, with you, I'm the same with you. One consistent in every Zack Snyder film, although some of them are divisive. The consistent is everyone. If they love the movie, hate the movie, if they're reviewing the movie, they say it looks great. It's a great looking film. I hope it's a good fit for a Predator movie, but I can't say that I'm not looking forward to the visual appeal of it, so I'm going to buy it.
I think the dynamism of that DP with Shane Black is going to be fantastic.
That could be great,
you know, when you combine someone who's got such a rich way of composing the shots and the lighting with someone like Shane Black, it's going to be a different vibe and a different feel from what Zack Snyder. And I think Zack Snyder is a great director. And it's like if you look at Sucker Punch, it's a failure of a film, but you could break it into 3 separate movies. And one of those 3 is incredible. It's like that's the super weird dreamscape heavy metal one is like, that is fantastic. I wish that was the entire film.
This weekend, I'll be screening 2 movies I loved at my apartment, Sucker Punch and Cars 2. Come on by, everybody. I really like Sucker Punch. I agree with you. If you want to mute Sucker Punch, just do it during the dialogue and not during the action sequences when they have great music. They like just crank the Zeppelin in one of those. I think Larry Fong doing a Predator movie is perfect, particularly because Zack Snyder is not the guy directing it. If you take Larry Fong, a guy who can realize a director's crazy vision, even something on the huge scope that Zack Snyder wants, I think it's going to be a perfect pairing with Shane Black. This gets me even more excited about Predator. What is Larry Fong going to be able to do to all those suburban shots we're going to get of like streets and magnolia trees and ice cream trucks? It's going to be cool to see.
They did debunk that. It's not happening in an urban setting.
Good.
All right. What's next?
The first trailer for Taylor Hackford's The Comedian, starring Robert De Niro, has landed online. The story follows De Niro's Jackie Burke character, an aging comic icon who has seen better days. After accosting an audience member, Jackie is forced to serve out a sentence doing community service, where he meets Harmony, Leslie Mann, the daughter of a sleazy Florida real estate mogul. The Comedian gets a limited release on December 2nd and goes wide on January 13, 2017. Mark Barsell, the first trailer for The Comedian, starring Robert De Niro.
I'm going to be very, very nice and give it a buy, Ashley, because when I heard that Robert De Niro is going to be in a movie like this, I was really excited to explore the deep, twisted mindset that happens with a lot of us comics. Doesn't look like it's going to be that kind of movie. It looks like it's going to be much more sweetly painted, whereas like if you're a real life intern, a lot of times your job sucks. There's a lot of really gritty stuff you can get into, or you can make a movie called The Intern with Robert De Niro and everything kind of works out okay. This is The Comedian, and there's a lot of really, really dark stuff you can explore with the life of a comedian, and this one looks like it's just going to kind of paint over that stuff and have a nice sweet tale. So for what the movie clearly is going to be, I'll give it a buy.
Jeremy.
All right, Mark Ellis. The world knows now you're the darkest person we know. Please.
A lot of
Don't kill me in my
here.
sleep. But you do bring up a good point, is that comics and comedians, from what I have learned from them, as there's a lot of damage. The bigger the front, the bigger the back, as they say. But it is a sweet film. It looks like a sweet trailer, and for the same reason, I'm like, it's nice. I don't know that I buy the fact that Robert De Niro and Leslie Mann are going to have a romance, but I would probably go for Leslie Mann. She's a few decades younger than him, but we'll see what happens. But I thought it was a nice movie. I feel like it's one of those movies I can walk out of and be like, oh, life's good.
Yeah, I'm gonna sell it. I felt the trailer was a little too surfacey. Like, I love all the actors in it. It's got an all-star cast, amazing. I like the interaction between Danny DeVito and Robert De Niro. So those scenes, I even laughed out loud watching the trailer. But ultimately, it just felt like it's gonna be a series of vignettes that you never. It's just a little bit too surfacey. Like, you're not gonna get too deep with it. I bet some of the comedy is gonna be pretty funny. I mean, Jeff Ross wrote it, so.
Jeff Ross is one of the guys who wrote the screenplay, who's
who's
hysterical, and he's a good friend to comedians. I think that Jeff Ross probably helped with a lot of the stand-up in the film,
right,
and less so with like where the story is going to go or how deep they want to explore. Because with a guy like Robert De Niro, who did the King of Comedy, I mean, that's a crazy exploration into somebody who has a desperate need for attention.
Right.
I also thought it might be like the Billy Crystal movie, which should be a classic, Mr. Saturday Night. Doesn't look like it's going to get to that level either, but for what it was, I thought it was okay.
Yeah, I mean, I like what you said. I mean, probably the comedy bits are going to work. It just feels like the rest of it is a little stitched together, but the trailer made me want to see the film slightly, but I'm still selling it.
Yeah, while I do believe this is going to end up being a good movie, you look at the talent involved, you look at the cast involved, and my two long-standing Hollywood crushes. One is Jennifer Garner. She's not in this film. The other is Leslie Mann, ever since she was in George of the Jungle. I got to sell this. I got to sell it. The trailer did nothing for me. I do think it's going to be a good movie. I do. But if we're just talking about the trailer, it didn't hook me. It didn't get me more interested in the movie. If anything, it almost made the movie feel cheaper to me, despite the fact seeing faces like Billy Crystal, Danny DeVito, Harvey Keitel, seeing all these amazing names in there. It just wasn't a well put together trailer. So for me, it's a sell. All right, guys, I just want to remind you, we do this show live. And when we do the show live, we like to save a little bit of time at the end of the show for your live Twitter questions. If you're watching us live right now, start tweeting in questions. Just make sure you're following us on Twitter at Collider Video and send them on in. And then Wendy will pick out a couple of questions at the end of the show. Now, I also want to remind you that Movie Talk is not the only show on Collider Video today. A little bit later today at 5 p.m., That Man's Show, Heroes, airs, and once again, gets online around 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Make sure you keep your eyes open for that. And also, I believe, is it today that the team match drops? Today,
Absolutely.
The team movie trivia schmodown match between the Wangers and Team Mega Powers. That is Finstock and, of course, Josh McCouga. That drops a little bit later today. Keep your eyes open for that. And, of course, our new Crash Course video on what are and where are the Infinity Stones with this man, Jeremy Jahns. You can find that online right now. Now, with that out of the way, it's time for us to get to mailbag. Listen, guys, if you've got a topic or a question you'd like us to address on the show, just email us anytime at collidervideo@gmail.com, and we'll see if we can get your question on the air. Ashley, what do we got?
Ted Anderson writes, imagine if Ewan's Obi-Wan from episodes 1 through 3 appeared in Rogue One this year. It would be kind of cool to have him cameo in order to connect the stories, but also not have him overtake the film, which should stay focused on this team. Having his character just show up for a 30-second scene or so would be nice, especially since many people agree Obi-Wan was basically the best thing about the prequels. Love you guys.
Here's the thing. Back at Star Wars Celebration, when they were getting ready to start shooting the movie, one of the things they talked about with the upcoming Rogue One is that you have to understand this is a different world now for the Star Wars universe, because in Rogue One, it is a world without Jedi. And I think that means, oh, so you can still have Obi-Wan cameo. I really don't think they are. I don't think they're going to give that spark of hope with the presence of a great Jedi Master like Obi-Wan Kenobi. If that hadn't happened at Star Wars Celebration like over a year ago, if they hadn't said that, I would think an Obi-Wan cameo with all the buzz that's been going on with Hugh McGregor talking to Lucasfilm and all that kind of stuff, I would think, you know what, there's probably a better than 50% chance it'll happen. But I really do believe their philosophy going into this movie is this is a universe that has to stand up to the Empire without the hope of the Jedi. And because of that, I do not think we're going to see Obi-Wan in this. Anyway, I think you were there when they made that announcement at Celebration. What did you think about that?
I drink a lot. Here's what I'll tell you, Ted, is that I like the question. I like where you're going with it. We love seeing Hugh McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi. We want to see him in another movie, or at least a lot of people do. 0% chance he's in Rogue One, and I felt 0% chance as soon as they announced what Rogue One is, because go back and watch A New Hope. If you want connectivity between the movies, worry less about getting somebody we've already seen into a new movie and worry more about the tissue that is going to be between Rogue One and A New Hope. When you see Alec Guinness playing Obi-Wan in the first scene we meet him in A New Hope, he's a grizzled old hermit who has no idea what's going on in the universe right now. He sees Princess Leia asking for help, and he is like, oh my God, all these memories are come flooding back to him. You can see it on his face. This is a guy who is not interacted with the rebellion or any semblance of such thing in a long time. I think one of the best shots in the trailers we've seen in Rogue One so far is that fallen Jedi statue, where it's like these guys clearly are not in play right now. We don't even know where they are necessarily. Obi-Wan has not been if he has a cell phone, he's probably got a jitterbug at this point. He has not been called for a long time to do anything like this.
Schnepp.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I totally understand that. Does Obi-Wan? It would be great to have him. You know, like the same kind of like desire to have everyone kind of in everything. That happens a lot. I think it's stronger to not have any of the characters except for the two C-3PO and R2-D2. To have them in it in some way towards the end is the connective tissue. But we don't even need that. We're in the Star Wars universe, so I'm glad that Obi-Wan's not going to be in it. You know, I think that's pretty much it.
Jeremy.
Yeah, in order for Obi-Wan to be in it, we'll have to go to Tatooine. I haven't seen any real inkling of Tatooine, so I don't think it's going to happen. And if you have that character from the other franchises have to cameo, it always bugs me. It sticks out like a sore thumb when it's like a kid waving his hands in front of the camera that needs to be seen. You know, it's like in those Hobbit movies when they had Elijah Wood at the beginning and he walks and he smiles and shakes his head and walks off. It's like you don't need Elijah Wood in the Hobbit movies in order to have the Hobbit movies be the Hobbit movies. So I don't think we're going to see it. I do know where he's going because when Obi-Wan, they first see the Death Star, he has this look like, that's no moon, that's a space station. It's like, did he know that something was happening? Maybe he got a realization of some fragments that he may have gotten some years ago. So I do get that. Or it could just be like, oh my gosh, it's a huge space station. Never heard of that before. So we'll see what happens, but I don't think there's going to be
I got a question. So Jyn Erso in the trailer says, may the Force be with you.
Yeah.
So, and you know, we see her like holding some kind of little crystal, or we don't know if that's going to be a Kyber crystal or whatever, but she says, may the Force be with you, which is something that the Jedi say.
She seems to be aware of the
I
Force.
think the universe understood the Jedi at the time in the Force. And remember, part of the movie does take place on Jedha, which was very formational to the Jedi and the Force. And of course, we have the one character who is talking about the Force all the time. I fear nothing, and everything happens as the Force wills it. But this is the other thing I want to keep in mind too, is that, you know, Star Wars, a lot of people keep trying to say that Star Wars is a story about the Skywalkers. And it's not. Star Wars is about a grander story of the universe, especially go all the way back to the old Republic stuff and what have you. And it reminds me of the Shakespeare line, all the world is a stage and all of its men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and each man in his time plays many parts. I believe we're looking at the Star Wars story from beginning to end, all the way back thousands of years, the old Republic, all the way up to where we are now. I believe when Rogue One, we're looking at a part of the story that is not yet the Skywalker time to step in. At least the Luke Skywalker time with Obi-Wan, all that kind of stuff. This is a part of the play with characters we haven't come across. Yes, Darth Vader's going to be there. Yes, we're going to see Tarkin. But as far as our heroes go, we're going to be introduced to new sets of heroes, and I think Obi-Wan is going to be left out of that mix. Anyway, okay, what's next?
Stuart Fletcher writes, I love the channel and honestly can't get enough. My question is fairly simple. What two actors have the best on-screen chemistry and who has the worst? For the first, I think Pitt and Clooney in Ocean's 11 is a solid non-romantic pairing, and Emma Stone / Andrew Garfield in ASM. For the latter, I only have to say one thing. I hate sin. Your thoughts?
Yeah, honestly, one of the best on-camera dynamics I think I've ever seen is, we're going back a little bit, Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan. When they were on screen together, they were frickin' magic. They were great together whenever they did stuff on screen together. I always bought into their chemistry. I always thought they clicked really, really organically, and it always worked great for me. A more modern one, Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling. We're seeing them pop up together more and more. And of course, we got La La Land coming out. They're really great too. Worst on-screen chemistry, Adam Sandler and Kevin... Not Kevin Hart. Kevin James.
Really?
Kevin James and Adam Sandler, no matter how many times they try to force that to work, it has never worked for me. But what about you? What are some of the chemistries that work for you?
I still say some of the greatest chemistry I've ever seen. Harrison Ford and
Chewbacca.
Yes, Harrison Ford and Chewbacca.
Right?
Harrison Ford and
big walking
his
carpet?
200-year-old dog and the Millennium Falcon. No, it's Harrison Ford and his dad in Indiana
Sean
Jones.
Connery.
Sean Connery.
There you go.
Drawing a blank.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford and Sean Connery in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade is some of the greatest chemistry I've ever seen in a film. Worst, I mean, you took the words right out of all our mouths with Anakin and Padme, but I mean, if you're going to, those 50 Shades of Grey people don't want to be there easily. So, I mean, you can pick any bad romance and 50-50 it's because of their horrid chemistry. So, but the best has to be Harrison Ford and Sean Connery.
Schnepp.
I'll say Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet. We were talking about Eternal Sunshine just earlier this morning, and I started thinking about that, and I was like, wow, they had really great chemistry.
Josh McCouga will ban me from Buffalo Wild Wings this weekend if I don't say Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. I'm also going to throw my personal favorite is Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes in White Men Can't Jump. I would also throw, I think, Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill in the 22 Jump Street movies are really, really good together. The worst on-screen chemistry I've ever seen is in a movie that is beloved as a sports film because it's got a great ending, and Robert Redford is great in The Natural, but Robert Redford and Glenn Close, there's nothing happening there, man. Yeah. There is nothing happening there. Whew! It's like watching paint dry. Oh.
The Lethal Weapon franchise is really good chemistry.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
All right, I said we'd save a little bit of time at the end of the show to take your live Twitter questions, and we're going to do that right now. Wendy, what have you picked out?
The first one comes from Eric Morano, who writes, with an unknown voicing Moana and positive reviews, how do you see the future of Ali Carvalho?
Look, I have to look into this. By the way, it's not just positive reviews. I believe there's over 60 reviews in right now for Moana. It's scoring 100% on Rotten Tomatoes right now. If I hear that she is also doing her own singing in the movie, I haven't confirmed that, but that's what I hear. If that's the case, holy crap, this girl is one of the best voices I've ever heard coming from the silver screen. I mean, her voice is absolutely amazing. No disrespect to The Rock, he does a really good job. His You're Welcome song, you're gonna be tapping your feet to it when you're coming out of theater. But she is fabulous in this as a voice actress. What that will mean as far as her as an acting career, I have no idea. I just know if I'm casting a musical, I'm putting her in it. Anyway, Mark, what do you think?
She's cute as a button to look at her, and then also because she is doing a lot of the singing in Moana, she's credited on IMDb as singing songs like How Far I'll Go, Where You Are, I Am Moana,
so good.
Know Who You Are. I know who she is. She's probably going to be a star very soon. She's probably going to hop between movies and Broadway if that's what she indeed wants to do. So many times you see somebody young and precocious and talented, and they just decide after a while they don't really want to be performers anymore. Right. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case with her, but if she wants that for her future, she's certainly got a great chance.
Yeah, it's like when the Harry Potter kids had their first, like, oh, they haven't been in anything, and they're actually good, and so we're going to see more of them. This is just the genesis of this girl's career, for sure. I'm glad that you fact-checked that, because I remember in my review, I said, oh, she's great, she's wonderful, she has a great voice, and I was like, oh, wow, I didn't look into that. I hope it's right. And now I guess it's right. But yeah, you're going to see a lot more of this girl, for sure. If she is in nothing else, it's criminal, and you just need to give her more money. Offer her more money so she can be in more stuff.
Schnepp.
Yeah, I haven't seen the film yet, but everything I've heard is amazing. So the world is her oyster, you know.
All right, what's next?
Cody Hunt writes, what do you think is the likelihood that Andrew Garfield could get nominated for both Hacksaw Ridge and Silence for Best Actor and Best Supporting Actor?
Ooh. Well, he can't because he's the best lead actor in he's the lead actor in Hacksaw Ridge, and from what I understand, he is the lead actor of Silence. Liam Neeson is from what I understand is in the running for best supporting actor in that, and Andrew Garfield is the lead, so that can't happen. He won't get nominated for both.
We'd have to do a lot of research. I just exhausted myself with that Moana soundtrack effort. So I'm not sure. Do y'all think it helps an actor's chances? Like if they have two great performances in a year, like say it's Andrew Garfield with Hacksaw Ridge and Silence, or even Amy Adams in Arrival and Nocturnal Animals, does that help them if they get nominated for one of those? Like kind of be like, oh, well, we're actually rewarding your entire year and not just your performance in this one movie. Does that kind of be like the tiebreaker if you're wrestling between that and somebody else?
They're not supposed to. They're not supposed
they're not supposed to.
Yeah, so but how much it plays into it, I mean, I don't know. A lot of these guys in the Academy have been doing it for a long time, so I think they probably know when to separate that out.
I think Garfield definitely gets nominated for something.
I think automatically he's going to get. I would nominate him for Hacksaw Ridge, but I haven't seen Silence yet. Everybody's saying no, he's definitely getting nominated for Silence. He can't get nominated for both, so I think it's a lock that he's going to get nominated for at least one, and then maybe a little bit of that vote is, man, this kid had one hell of a year. He could have been nominated twice.
Right.
Give him my vote. I mean, maybe that could play into it. What do you think?
I mean, no matter what happens, just expect Meryl Streep to come out of nowhere and get nominated this year too, because every year, folks. But yeah, it's really tough because we haven't seen one of these movies. That's 50% of what we can assess. It's not there. We haven't seen it. I'm one of those people, like if an actor gives 3 great performances, I mean, or I guess it can only be 2. So if they give 2 performances that are worth nominating, give them those 2 nominations. Sometimes I think politics plays into it, and that just irritates me. But I believe in, hey, whoever was best, nominate that person. So if he gets for an actor and a supporting actor, which I guess he can't, but if he did and he could, then go for it.
Schnepp.
Yeah, I agree with what you guys said. I mean, if Silence is what it's supposed to be, and everybody's saying it is, he'll probably be nominated for that. But then Hacksaw Ridge will push him over the edge, and he'll probably get the Oscar.
All right, what's next?
Sean George writes, with all these movies being made based of toys, what do you want to see get a film? Play-Doh, Chutes and Ladders, or Tonka trucks?
None of those.
Play-Doh's an interesting one.
Yeah, the Play-Doh thing. Here's the thing. This is what we said about this before. If you take an IP, like let's look at Lego. Lego should have been a stupid movie. Should have been stupid. But what they did is they went out and they crafted a great story, and then they skinned it in Lego, and then they used the particulars of Lego to add into the story as well. You come up with a great story and then put it into a Play-Doh world, it can work. We've seen it happen with Lego. It can work. Doesn't mean it will work or anything like that. So honestly, I don't think Chutes and Ladders, Trolls is out right now. Trolls is actually pretty good. I enjoyed Trolls. It was entertaining for me. All that kind of stuff. It almost doesn't matter. It's just a skin for a lot of these studios. They're just looking at them as IPs to attach to hopefully something they've got a great story to start with, and then they insert it into this skin and maybe make it work. So, any of those could work. None of them can work on their own, though. Like, there's no Play-Doh movie inherent to the Play-Doh IP. You have to bring something else here. I don't know. How do you guys see
I would have said Rock'em Sock'em Robots, but they already made that. It's called Real Steel.
Yes,
it is.
And it's
there's a
damn good.
The next one, you should be hopping on producers who are watching this. Hungry Hippos. What's up, son?
Yeah, I kind
That
of
would
like
be
that.
a lot
They're
of
like
fun.
really aggressive. It's like a horror movie.
Yeah, all the other animals, they're coming. They're all these hippos running.
Yeah.
You're like, what's going on?
It's
They're
a mix
hungry!
between a National Geographic video and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and you
Yes.
got Hungry Hippos.
Hangry hippos.
Yeah,
Hangry
well, aren't hippos responsible for more deaths in Africa than any? So
Yes,
I mean,
they
that,
are.
that
They are
sounds
fast.
like a veritable bloodbath right there. But if they make a Play-Doh movie and they have the imagination I had as a kid, that's going to be a lot of T-1000-esque villains killing everybody, shooting everybody, and then falling into the bathtub and dissolving like Clayface and Batman the Animated Series. I'm looking forward to that one.
Remember that heart-wrenching scene in Congo with the hippopotamuses? It's pretty hippopotami. I'm not sure what you call a bunch of them, but they're really scary. I would go with either Mask, which is something Ken Knapsack and
Yes.
I love to death.
Oh,
Mask
yeah.
was great. Venom, I believe, was the bad guy. I would also throw Battle Beasts in there.
Oh, baby.
You remember Battle Beasts? You
Yeah.
rub their tummy and like something. They either reveal themselves as a member of fire,
Mark.
Yeah,
or
fire, water, or earth.
Yeah,
It was like
Battle
rock,
Beasts.
paper, scissors.
Now you,
but yeah,
you made
for
me
sure.
have to call out Micronauts and Rom, son. Come on.
Okay,
bring
I've
that.
got the two you got to go with. Number one, this is a no-brainer. Frisbee. Frisbee the movie. And number two, Slinky.
Yes!
Slinky the movie.
I
telling
would
you.
see Slinky. Frisbee, I'm a little shaky on.
Slinky gets faced with a thing where he has to go up the stairs.
I know.
In a total
the
twist.
challenge.
Oh, I like
And
that.
there's the metal Slinky that's all like messed up. I'm the plastic one. I never get messed up. You know?
Koosh Balls. Koosh Balls, sponsored by Rosie O'Donnell.
What about Mad Balls? Those like creepy like monster
Mad
face
balls. They had the
balls.
faces.
Yeah.
They had new Mad Balls at New York Comic Con this year.
You know what I used
Alec
to do?
Baldwin sweaty balls. I like that. That's
You know what I used to do with the Slinky is I used to take the metal Slinky, put it up to my ear, and flick it, and it
Oh,
makes Star Wars sounds.
totally.
So it would go
Yeah, yeah. It would sound like the laser.
Oh, it's the best.
all right. Two more.
Rubik's Cube, the movie.
Oh, there you go.
All right, Jack Cole wants to know, how is there still no Oscar category for Best Actor in Performance Capture and Best Stunt Person or Team?
Let me just say there was a Rubik's Cube animated series, and it
That's
was
right.
scary as hell. It was frightening. Gave me nightmares.
I think partially because there's not enough of it yet. Like, for instance, you talk about Best Director. Okay, there's 900 potential nominees. You talk about Best Animation is still a little bit questionable, but there's probably worldwide. There's probably 40 to 50 to 60 nominees you can draw from. Motion capture is a developing field. It's a growing field. Not every movie you go out to see this weekend is going to have motion capture in it. When it becomes more prevalent, when it becomes more an ingrained part of just film going or filmmaking process as a whole, then you'll see it. But right now, there's just not enough of it, I think, to justify a category for it yet. What do you guys think?
I would love to see a Best Stunt Person or Best Stunt Team award, if for no other reason, for the acceptance speech. It'd be great. Like, dude, we didn't know, man. We blew up a lot of stuff, and we raced a car, we drove it through a building. We didn't know if we'd make it, man, but we're here. Hell yeah.
Thanks, Mom. Yeah, we were seeing some of the whisperings with Andy Serkis as Gollum, and then Avatar made it to where more of the performance of the actor actually came on screen. So it's almost one of those things where we're either going to see it in its own category, or we're going to see it actually compete with the live action actors. Whatever happens first, I have no idea.
Yeah, I think it's got to be its own category. I mean, but it has to also, like you said, it has to overcome. Like, it can't just be 5 movies because Andy Serkis is in 3 of those 5 movies. It's like it would be like the nominations are Andy Serkis. They just hand it to him. So. Yeah, it's got to get to that point where it's getting very close. Where most of these giant blockbuster films have some form of motion capture to them, whether they're actually nomination worthy or not. That becomes a whole other category where it's like it's only 1 minute of the film, or is it an entire character? Like, I mean, The Jungle Book. Those are, I think, probably really hard to tell because it's an animal. So how much of that face is being portrayed, or how much of it is just voiceover? It's a really weird line we're going to be entering soon.
All right, here's the bar I'm going to set then. So the last Avatar movie, there's going to be what, four more Avatar movies? So after the last Avatar movie, will we see a whole category for motion capture, performance capture, or will we at least have an actor from one of those movies nominated for either Best Actor or Best Supporting Actress? Because there were pushes to have Andy Serkis get nominated or have Toby Kebbell get nominated for how good they were in the Apes movies.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree, and I was one of those people that thought that maybe what Andy Serkis did in the Apes movies warranted a Best Supporting Actor nomination. I did. I think we're probably less than 10 years away. I think we're less than 10 years away from the field maturing enough to the point where you have enough of it that you can actually legitimately draw enough people to make it a category and honor somebody from it.
You know what? When it gets to that point, it has to get to that point where a lot of people don't understand how computer graphics are made. It has to get to that point where you're pressing a button and the actor is doing their thing, and it's all of that is translating to the 3D object, and there's no other intermediaries. Because right now, with everything that every actor does, there's literally hundreds of people who are affecting the face, the lips, the mouth, the lighting, the shrug, the blinks, everything. So it's not one actor. It's an entire team that is making every single one of those performances right now. I think once we get to that point where it becomes like you put this weird thing on and you got all the little bubbles on your face and we're just capturing that, and that is the performance. That is when it can be an Oscar.
Let's get a performance capture host for the Oscars. Let's just have like a Warcraft orc host everything.
That would be amazing.
All right, last question of the day.
Last one comes from Mr. Smith, who writes, what is your thoughts on Ron Perlman playing Darkseid?
Wow.
Honestly, I love Ron Perlman. Huge Ron Perlman fan. Was really happy when he popped up in Fantastic Beasts.
Right?
I'm like, yeah, that dude looks like Ron Perlman. And then he speaks, it is Ron Perlman. But I honestly don't care. I don't think it's going to... Look, the fact that Josh Brolin is playing Thanos, I think is going to have zero impact on anything. You could have put a very talented dude with no name in there, and they're just going to be Thanos anyway. To me, I really don't think it's going to make any difference at all.
As long as it doesn't mess with Ron Perlman's schedule to possibly be Cable, I'm cool.
As long as it doesn't mess with his possible never going to happen Hellboy 3, I'm cool. I think actually he adds something that... It's true, you can replace a lot of different actors with these kinds of characters, but I think if it was Ron Perlman, it would add a little bit to Darkseid because of just within his voice in Fantastic Beasts. It's like, oh my God, it just adds that flavor because he's such a great actor.
Yeah, this has the potential to be one of those standout Ron Perlman moments, Like, I'm not saying Ron Perlman with the cigar who's a club owner or anything like that, but we've seen him be in like about 4 or 5 different things recently. But that, just hearing that just now, we started to visualize Darkseid as Ron Perlman. In terms of casting for Darkseid, I can't think of anyone better. When that voice comes out and he just has that stoic look that you are clearly like, I hope the valet parked this guy's car right, otherwise someone's going to die. And so I think he could bring a lot of that to Darkseid, so I think that's good.
As long as it doesn't interfere with him appearing in Sons of Anarchy: The Return, Resurrection, then I'd be totally good with it. All right, guys, that'll do it for this installment of Movie Talk. I want to thank the guys sitting at the table with me over there, Mr. Jon Schnepp. Schnepp, where can people find you online?
Well, you can find me online on Twitter and Instagram, and of course on Collider Heroes later this afternoon. Almost you thought I was going to forget that plug, didn't you? Didn't happen.
I gotta admit, I did.
See you later.
I did.
Bye.
Jeremy Jahns.
You can find me on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram at Jeremy Jahns, Facebook at Real Jeremy Jahns, and at Schnepp's Place. We're going to be watching Dune on Blu-ray all day.
Fear is the mind killer.
Over here, Mr. Mark Ellis.
I'm bringing the spices, boys. This weekend I'll be telling some jokes around LA. Next week I have some tour dates that include St. Louis, Nashville, and Atlanta. You can get tickets at markellislive.com.
Over there we got Ashley Mova.
Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat at Ashley Mova. Happy Tuesday, guys.
And of course, Wendy Lee. Wendy, where can people find you?
Roof again. You can find me on YouTube at the Movie Couple channel, and on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat at Wendy Lee Zany.
And you can simply follow me on Facebook and on Twitter, simply at Jon Campea. That'll do it for us, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. My name is Jon Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.